Welcome, Wall Street Tactical community. I have Marilyn Schaffer, who is the CEO of XTM based in Canada, Toronto, Canada, with us today. And thank you so much for being here with us, Marilyn.
Thanks for
Happy to
having
have
me.
you.
Thank you.
So, Wall Street Tactical community, XTM is a budding fintech company that you should definitely check out. And the first thing that we want to ask is, Marilyn, would you mind going a little bit more into your history as an entrepreneur? Because you ran a couple companies before that were very successful, and then you moved on to XTM, which has had a little bit of a transformation in of itself.
Yes, that's true, Mark. So when I was super young, I built a public relations firm that was acquired by an Omnicom, New York Stock Exchange traded company, and I became their VP of a global technology through my earnout period. And being an entrepreneur, I wasn't used to having a boss, so I left there when my earnout was over, and had a couple of periods in between of different things I tried. And I thought, I think the whole dynamic of the marketing world was changing, and I really wanted to be a part of it. So I launched XTM, and we had a very successful run in digital marketing and supporting very large brands. The exciting part as well was UX and UI design, bringing products to market. But I always wanted to bring my own product to market. I knew we were that good that we could be doing this for ourselves, but the opportunity wasn't there until 2018, where we had the opportunity to buy the assets of a company that had become bankrupt. They had bought the assets of a fintech platform that was built by three of Canadians' largest telcos, Bell, Rogers, and TELUS. And they had built this mobile wallet, thought they could work together collaboratively. They spent $40 million on it. And then they realized, you know what, we really can't collaborate. So they abandoned it, and it got thrown around here and there. And we were able to pick up those assets for, pennies on the dollar. And we rebuilt it, brought on engineers, started to transform XTM into a fintech company. And as we started to evolve and think about, what market are we going to tackle? What are we going to go after? We realized there was something broken in the hospitality ecosystem that we could fix, and we could do it very quickly. And Mark, if you don't interrupt me, I'm just going to keep talking.
Yeah, no, that's certainly quite the transformation. Because one of our partner companies, SEG, also, has worked in the tech space, but does marketing as well. So certainly those transformations come naturally as a company. But that's great that you seize an opportunity for seeing, how you could transform yourself, from a marketing company into, a fintech company that and able to take advantage of those assets. So in regards to the fintech space, right? You have a partnership with BMO. You have new partnerships on the way. Secured partnerships with Visa. Where's the company headed now?
So to tell you where we're heading, and I'll
Mhm.
tell you what we've been able to achieve.
Yeah.
So, some people ask us, why did we go public when we were such a
Mhm.
small company? And that happened in March 10th, 2020. Well, the reason why in Canada, you have a very conservative finance community, and it's, you can spend all your efforts raising money. Where we saw this opportunity to move very quickly, to be able to really do a land grab with this thing that we saw that was broken. So we raised $1 million in sub receipts. We did an IPO. We went public, and we went after all the restaurants in Canada. A little different in the US, but in Canada, though more and more, 95% of people are paying with a digital means of payment, a
Mhm.
Visa, a MasterCard, an Amex, or a debit card. They were still dispersing tips in cash. So, once every 2 weeks, the waiters, waitresses, the dishwashers, they would come in and pick up an envelope of cash. And we said, how antiquated is that? Like, we can digitize that whole system and we'll do it for free. So that's what we've done. We went and we now have the lion's share of the Canadian market. We're the dominant brand. We have all these restaurant groups. Like, we typically go after a group that has at least 100 employees, if not 10,000. Because with one customization and one sale, it's mandated, and we're converting all of those employees to our simple solution, which is an app,
Right.
which is synced with a MasterCard in Canada, and a mobile wallet. And then the restaurant, we're either integrated to the point of sale, or they upload a CSV file through a portal at the end of every shift, and immediately everyone is paid. So they love it, the staff loves it, and we live off of the interchange. So when that person, that staff person, that service staff person goes to a merchant, like they do,
Mhm.
and buys something at, Walmart or Target or wherever it might be, it's always been, we didn't invent this, that the merchant pays a fee to
Right.
Visa or MasterCard. We split that fee. So we make 1.5% of all the money that moves through our system. And so, we've had a lot of COVID restrictions, which the silver lining on that is we were able to move really quickly through the market. Restaurants were looking for a positive comeback, and they had some downtime. So they're like, yes, this is what we want. So we cleaned that up, got them all locked into 3-year contracts. And now that things are opening up as of March the 1st, actually, everything is fully open in Canada, we're already seeing a peak in our GDV. So we had 2 weeks, for example, in December, before they shut us down just before around Christmas, where we saw, 30 million in GDV. So the money that we moved through our system, then it got locked
Mhm.
down. But when things opening up, we're locked into about 14 million in revenue. That
Wow.
that's our run rate, yeah. And so where we're going, we
Mhm.
always wanted to do more than gratuities, because it's like building a train. You're going to move people from A to B, but there's so many ancillary ways you can generate revenue. And so what we looked at is onboarding staff, time and attendance. We're looking at payroll. We're looking at inventory management, all the parts of the ecosystem that help an operator focus on delighting you, the customer, giving you fantastic food and a fantastic experience, and not worrying about that back end that they're not very good at. And so that's through M&A and organic growth, we are moving into all those factors of an operation, of restaurant operations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would have to say, as a worker of any type, certainly having your cash sooner is preferable to having your cash later. So the
Right.
2 weeks of buffer time, that's a long time to wait, to get paid out. So certainly there's a big added value of that. And is there any sort of handling of cash tips? I guess, maybe that's just a US thing. Um, but in regards to, cash tips, is that all synced in the system?
Yeah. So typically what a restaurant will do, they're getting very little cash in their ecosystem, but typically what they'll do is they'll reserve the cash, they'll convert everyone over. In the US, it is opt-in, because we are going to be
Mhm.
doing earnings. I shouldn't say we are going to be doing, we are doing earnings and gratuities. So you have to give an employee the option. Do you want it to go into your bank account on payroll, or do you want to be paid same day for both your earnings and your gratuities? And we're finding, that the majority of people, like you said, would prefer to be paid same day. Some of our research shows that most people in that certain demographic find it hard to deal with a $400 emergency. So the last thing we
Right.
want is this community going to a payday loan, a predatory payday loan destination. This enables them to manage their money better, to be able to deal with those emergencies, and to work more if they want to earn more. So it's helping the business, time and attendance, recruitment, and retention.
Absolutely. And it sounds like, currently you're targeting the larger organizations. with more employees. Is there plans to scale towards, the individual restaurants and vendors? And how are you going about approaching new sales?
So that's a really great question. And we put a press release out last week that talked about rolling out 100,000 mobile wallets and
Mhm.
also virtual cards. We're doing that through our payroll partner. So we've partnered with a firm that does payroll is licensed to do payroll in 50 states. And if you're not from the hospitality space, you might not know how complicated it is to do payroll for hospitality. There's all kinds of rules and regs. For example, if I'm folding napkins in California, in the state of California,
Mhm.
I get one hourly rate. And then if I move over and I start serving, I get another hourly rate. And because I'm working different hours today than I am tomorrow, it's not a salary where you can just divide up the week and pay the person fifth of their earnings on Monday and the other fifth on Tuesday and so on. It's not like that. So the company we're partnering with has all of that locked and loaded into their system. We're going to add gratuity on as an option, a module in that whole ecosystem. So that's how we're launching in the US, and it's happening right now as we speak.
That's awesome. And I mean, that's great that you recently got a new partner. I did see the partnership, with Visa as well. And also, saw that you have different APIs that, independent companies can use to connect to. Can you talk about that a little bit more as a source of revenue and growth?
Sure. Yeah. So, again, once you have this train built, you want to do as much as of it as possible because it's a high capital cost. And so we have groups like, for example, we have to be very careful with our issuing bank because, not all our issuers are favorable of cryptocurrency, but some are. And so we've got folks that want to use our platform after they convert from crypto to fiat to be able to spend that at a point of sale. So we're looking at APIs, offering APIs for that kind of business. We also offer APIs for the travel business where they're paying their sales agents spiffs or commissions based on what they've sold. So Sunwing is our client, for example, and they use extensively. They convert their points, the rewards for their employees into money that runs through our system and gets loaded to their wallets. So there's other APIs and ancillary revenue sources that we're exploiting and looking at for a number of different sectors.
That's really cool and interesting that you can, have that point system run through your uh, run through your APIs. And what's the revenue that you generate, on that as well? Is it the same pricing structure?
No, no, it's not. So, if you ask me specifically about our API, what we charge, I would need to talk to somebody at the company to figure out that structure. But no, it's not. It's much less. And for example, we have a very large pizza um, syndicate who uses our API to integrate with their point of sale to pay out their drivers and their drivers earn mileage, um, uh, payback, I guess you would call it, expenses,
Yeah,
mileage, earnings, and gratuities. And I would need to look at that specifically, but it doesn't. It's not expensive. In the savings that we create in terms of reduced labor, reduced resources, reduced risk, reduced human error is more than creates an ROI for the business.
absolutely. And also in regards to, being where you are in Toronto, I know the just having family based out of Buffalo, I know the interaction between, Canada and the United States and being so close together. I saw that uh, company also assists with cross-border payments and making that process easier.
Yeah, so our wallets and our Mastercards and Visa, they can be used anywhere those networks are accepted. So if you're a Canadian and you're traveling in the US, you're traveling in the Turks and Caicos or in Mexico,
Mhm.
you have the ability to make purchases and buy online or in store using your wallet and your card. So there's absolutely no restriction there. It's truly a modern application of how, your money being paid to you the same day is completely accessible, and makes your life easier and creates financial inclusion for people who before maybe couldn't even apply for credit and wouldn't have been approved for credit. This isn't credit, it is prepaid, but you can use this medium the way you would use credit.
Yeah. And does it also assist with remittances as well? Because a lot of people in the industry, at least in the US, are, um, you know, people that have family in other countries as well, and like to send remittances.
That's a great question, and that is on our roadmap. So that is exactly, especially we have so many folks in restaurants, for example, who maybe have just immigrated into America or into Canada, and they are sending money back home. And again, what our value proposition is to create financial inclusion and as low cost as possible for these people to live their lives. So, to send money back, for example, to the Philippines or to Mexico or to wherever your family is, we don't want that to be an onerous charge. So we are looking at partners. We've got a whole team that is just responsible for partner integrations to find ways to do that, because it's not easy. It's complicated. Compliance is, technically it's easy. The compliance part of it is tough. So we're working on that right now. We hope to launch that this year.
Awesome, awesome. So you have a great suite of products, as well as great plans for expansion. So tell us a little bit more about the cost of this, because it seems like, right now there's a higher burn rate than what there was, and that's also, part of the growth that the company is experiencing as well. So tell us the roadmap towards, profitability, as well as kind of what the plans are. Is it the plan to keep on growing with a higher burn rate, or, what are the plans to level off over time?
At the core of our company, we are fundamental business people. We really believe in profitability, especially me, and I find that, I'm old school, and I find that more and more, companies, they take years and years to get to that profitability stage. We're really on a mission to get there. And through M&A and through partners, we expect to be cash flow positive this year.
Wow,
So
this year.
this year, to actually have EBITDA this year, yeah. And the interesting thing about this business too is that you build the foundation, you seed it, and then it pops. So, when we are as I mentioned, we are already seeing that with the reopenings in Canada, and as far as we're concerned, we've reduced the resources that are paying attention to Canada right now because it's baked, it's locked, it's loaded. Now it's all about the US. And whether we have one user or 10 million users, our cost doesn't change that much. It's a high cost, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but it doesn't change that much. So it is a volume game. The more volume we have, the higher our profitability. So that's really what we're focused on.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does the roadmap, in terms of adding on the new suite of products, you have to have more employees to do that. And typically engineering is not very cheap, from being in the industry as well. So how are you planning to still continue that growth while also managing to get your cash flow positive?
So yeah, engineering for sure is going to grow. But the good news is that other parts of our company don't need, like, compliance doesn't need to grow that much. Finance doesn't need to grow that much. Marketing, we're a B2B to C. So we spend very little on marketing. We sell one restaurant, we convert thousands of users. So marketing is a low cost for us. Cost of acquisition is low for us. So we will continue to invest in engineering for sure, but not to the detriment or to block us from profitability. We'll still get there.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely makes sense, and I'm sure the investors would love to see that as well. Um, and just for our perspective, as well as investors on here, um, what are the projections? Do we have any forward-looking projections for the next, quarter or 2?
So my CFO is ringing in my ear right now, his voice, because I would throw them out there in a second. But as a publicly traded company, we can provide guidance. I will
Sure.
say that we are very bullish about 2022 and 2023, of course, moving forward. But
Right.
our biggest challenge right now, Mark, is focusing, not boiling the ocean. We have so much opportunity. So it's focusing and executing on the opportunity we have in front of us right now, and I think shareholders will be very satisfied with what we're able to deliver this year and next.
Awesome. Awesome. And, the last thing that I wanted to do is, leave it up to you, Marilyn, if there's any, uh, you know, anything else that you would wanna touch on for, prospective investors before we go. I just wanna leave you with the last word.
Oh, thanks. Well, restaurant technology is a very interesting space. I use this analogy. The Olympics are going on, and we've got these people these athletes who have studied or practiced their art their whole lives, and they get on a slope, and it's magical. And then there's me on a ski slope. So we're not dabbling. We're the Olympic athletes of restaurant technology. We're hiring from hospitality. We
Mhm.
we we know it really well. We speak the language that the hospitality folks speak. So there's some noise around us. People are looking and saying, "Oh, this is a really viable market space. Maybe we should dabble in that." We feel we're ahead of the game. We've brought on Jason Giogrande. Jason is an operator. He is, he has 2 restaurants in Manhattan. He ran NBC Universal's food and beverage for almost a decade, billion-dollar portfolios, and he's the guy who's looking and saying, "This is what operators need to have a successful business." So we wanna reduce the risk for the restaurants and the salons and anyone in the service industry. We wanna bring service people back to work, make them excited about coming back to work, and we wanna do it with a real bespoke focus on this industry.
Absolutely. Having people within the industry and knowing the problems as well as the solutions that are required is a huge part to the company's success. And it seems like you have the team that's ready to do it.
I think so.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marilyn, for your time and being with us today. And we look forward to seeing XTM become profitable this year, hopefully,
Yeah.
and continue to be successful into the future. So much appreciated. Pleasure to speak with you and have you on.
You too, Mark. Take care.